Hey, what's going on there, folks? Earthmaster here, checking in on this end of the weekend. It is Sunday night, June 7th, 2020. Straight up about 9 p.m. West Coast time here. Let me turn up that microphone just a tad bit here. We've had a little bit cooler weather, so I've shut off the fans here in the computer room. So I haven't had to cool down too much when it comes to the electronics here. Taking a look at the earthquake 3D globe here, shows quite a bit of earthquake activity out here along the west coast, and more specifically out here in the western part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, close to a 6.0 earthquake out there towards the Indonesia Islands area, a 5.9 striking out there earlier, and earthquake activity continues to be on the increase. It looks like over roughly all throughout the Indonesia Islands area and headed down towards the Fiji area as well. No major deep earthquake activity taking place along the Pacific Plate at the moment. Shooting up here towards the north, relatively quiet, although you can see some older earthquake activity making this V shape. Kind of, you can pretty much follow the Pacific Ring of Fire out here, folks. I don't think I have to show this to you or explain it to anyone out here. It's relative in this earthquake 3D globe right here, all throughout the north. Kind of starts out there towards the Aleutian Islands up here, way up north. Follows down here along this trench through Japan, down here through the Philippines area, Indonesia Islands area, and into the Fiji area. Very active plate movement out there right now, and that's just within the last 24 hours of earthquake activity. Also along the west coast, we're looking at pretty active earthquake activity as well, with pretty much a significant earthquake activity ramp up out there in Nevada. Let's go ahead and switch over to the well, wow. This thing, it's kind of strange. It never wants to operate the way I want it to. But hold on one second here, folks. Kind of want to bring you up to the California and Nevada earthquake map. There we go. There we go. Okay. Let's zoom that in just a tad bit here. This is Nevada, California earthquake map here. You can see a little bit of earthquake activity ramping up there. A 4.8 earthquake out there around Tonopah in the Nevada region. We've seen of course, a lot of activity out there over the past month or so. Right around the Tonopah, Mina, Coaldale region in Nevada. Tonight, it's no different. Definitely ramping up out there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the a different level here of earthquake activity. With the USGS map here, 1 day, 2.5 earthquake activity and above here. We'll go ahead and zoom in here just a tad bit here, and we'll take a look at the activity a little bit closer on the screen there. You can see the 4.8 there. That's a pretty large aftershock. Quite a few folks filling it out there around Tonopah, no doubt. This is kind of a northward aftershock, a little bit different area, if you will. Let's go ahead and bring up last let's bring up the last 30 days, 2.5 and above. You can see what I'm talking about here. Kind of more northward. It's kind of still, I guess, in the mix out there of earthquake activity. This is the last 30 days, 2.5 and above. And it's a significant number out there, folks. I mean, it's this here is only what do we got? 743 earthquakes, 2.5 and above. If we were to register all earthquakes out there in that area, we're talking easily above 10,000, possibly above 20,000 earthquakes that have happened out there in the Nevada region. I may be even underestimating that number when it comes to the significance of earthquakes out there in Nevada right now. But that 4.8 fits in right out there on the eastern part of all this activity, and kind of on the northern edge out there as well. And that right there is kind of where I was at a couple weekends ago, right around that solar farm they have out there northwest of Tonopah. That's kind of right around that area. So activity definitely on the increase out there. 4.8, that being that blue circle right now at 5.2 kilometers below surface there. So no major movement away from this line of activity that we've seen here, consistent for the past couple weeks. It's kind of just situated northwest of Tonopah, and it stretches all across that Highway 95 there into the Candelaria Mountain region where I was at there, and it's staying roughly about the same area. I don't see any migration, if you will, of the of movement. Still, there's some activity going on west of there, well west of there. Let's go ahead and back this off a little bit and go back to 1 day all magnitude so we can get rid of that mess. Quite a bit of activity there. North, or kind of east of Mono Lake region there, a little 3.3 near Bodie. That happening pretty recently. Go ahead and go with the all magnitudes here, and you can see they've had a little bit of earthquake activity right around that region. Of course, this has been ongoing for quite some time here, roughly right around the actually this activity started before the Nevada earthquake activity started. So it's kind of keeping up its multitude of earthquakes there with Nevada. Definitely something to watch. Not related to the super volcano in Long Valley, folks. So I just don't want to cause any fear mongering out there. It's 2020, and a lot of folks are taking some full advantage of it. Shooting down here to the south, Ridgecrest area, still seeing some earthquake activity out there. Of course, it's going to happen. It could happen for a couple more years here. There's a little bit of earthquake activity outside of that region there, 3.0 near Coso Junction, California, well away from the Ridgecrest area. Of course, we have seen this before. Just kind of the ongoing pressure out here along the west coast. No abnormal earthquake activity, at least far as I can tell, throughout the region here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Idaho region. We'll zoom into Idaho, and it's pretty blank. So either the USGS is not reporting the earthquake activity, or activity has completely diminished 100%, because this is a 1 day all magnitudes there, and we are not seeing any earthquake activity at all being reported there around the Idaho region. Pretty interesting there, folks. Definitely interesting. We'll zoom in here to Southern Cal, San Andreas Fault section here. Relatively quiet again. Like I said, this is going to be the big area to watch when well, obviously when it unzips here. We're looking at a major earthquake, but right now we're looking at pretty quiet activity. Some small swarming going on down here. I mean, microquakes. These are like pretty much, I don't know, maybe these are ants. These could be ants crawling across the ground, potentially triggering that seismic activity there. I'm talking about 0.3, 0.1 magnitudes. Very, very microquakes going on well west of the San Andreas Fault section there, in those mountainous areas. I do want to bring up the let's see here, let's see where it's at real quick. Hold on 1 second here, folks. The Cascadia subduction zone activity here. A lot of folks very interested in what takes place up there in the Pacific Northwest with the slow slip tremor events going on. This is pretty typical, folks. We're always seeing movement along the Cascadia subduction zone there, whether it's inland or Well, basically, this activity here is monitoring the deep, deep movement underneath the North American plate and the Juan de Fuca plate there along the Pacific Northwest there, which stretches obviously from Vancouver Island into parts of Northern California. And these are definitely not ants crawling down there well below the surface. This is it's a major movement, obviously. But as I mentioned, this is typical. I mean, I don't want to fearmonger anyone out there, but it's pretty much lengthwise all the way up here to Vancouver, all the way down the entire section of the Cascadia subduction zone there, including parts of Northern California, even into parts where I live up here north around Redding and into Redding area, Red Bluff area. And that's activity being recorded well deep below the surface there. But this activity here is, like I said, average. This is a week span of activity. I got it set from June 1st to about June 8th. So it's average, folks. But you know, I don't think this is anything to worry about. It's pretty much average activity, and it's just something to keep an eye on. You know, it's nothing to fearmonger or worry about when it comes to the Cascadia subduction zone. It's going to happen. You know, who knows? Back in 1700, right? What happened, or if there were any precursors to that major quake that struck back there in 1700, that 9.0 along the Cascadia subduction zone. We don't know. All we know is that there was a major earthquake that took place there. So we can't look at any data that states that, okay, so activity is picking up along the slow slip movement map. Does that mean anything is going to happen? Not necessarily. We're seeing activity in Nevada and Idaho. Does that mean major earthquake is going to strike in the Pacific Northwest? We don't know. I mean, nobody was around to account and collect details like we're doing right now back in 1700. So it's just, you know, it's a waiting game, folks. Eventually, we will find out, and we won't be in the dark any longer. But anyway, folks, yeah, it's it's a crazy world, folks. That's all I'm gonna say. It's getting very, very crazy. We're watching Tropical Storm. What's it called? Oh man, hold on one second here. Cristobal? Cristobal. Is that how you pronounce that? Making landfall on Louisiana coastlines there. I'm looking at very soon, folks, soon as we get a major hurricane, and I'm not wishing a major hurricane on any area, but I am a severe weather chaser, and that's what I like to do. I like to document and chase storms, severe weather, and soon as we get a major hurricane hitting the United States, I will be out there in the mix there, chasing that hurricane. So it's coming up. Hurricane season is starting pretty soon, folks. I didn't want to go to Louisiana for this tropical storm, tropical depression. There's just, the storm surge out there is pretty horrible, especially with the low-lying area. So I didn't want to go for it. But when it comes to a major hurricane, if it's Gulf Coast of Texas, east of Louisiana into, you know, along the East Coast, then that's what I'm shooting for. And I will be doing that this year. I can honestly say I will chase a hurricane this year. That's a fact. 100% facts. So I don't know. I'm kind of headstrong right now when it comes to that. It's been building on my list. I've been talking about it for a long time. I have the time off from work, and that's kind of what I want to do right now. So I'm looking forward to chasing a major hurricane and streaming it live here on this channel. So it'll happen pretty soon, folks. Anyway, have a good night out there. I do appreciate everyone tuning in, and hope everyone has a great, safe start of the week tomorrow. It's definitely getting pretty crazy out there politically. And like I say, I do not talk politics on this channel, and I never will. But please stay safe. Have a good night, and we'll chat you guys a little bit later. Peace.